Global HR on the air. This is Ed Cohen, your host. Global HR Media covers World Trade's effect on company strategy, employees, and culture. Our guest today is Mr. John Smith, Director of Enterprise Business Solutions at CRG emPerform. John is coming to us from Ottawa, Canada, and we welcome you, John.
Thanks very much, Ed. Good to be here this morning.
Thank you. So tell me about your company, CRG emPerform. CRG means what, and the words M is EM and then capital PERFORM, CRG emPerform. So what's that about, please?
All right, Ed. Well, Corporate Renaissance Group is an organization that's been around since 1989 and is the manufacturer, developer, and distributor of emPerform. emPerform is a web-based software solution that automates the employee talent management process. So what that means is that there's functionality in the software that delivers online performance appraisals, goal management, succession planning, 360-degree multi-rater reviews, web surveys, compensation planning, all in one integrated suite. And so that's where emPerform comes.
So this is all about employee performance management, is that correct?
That's correct, Ed. It's a pretty big buzzword out there these days, especially in the HR community. It continues to be, one of the top objective of HR practitioners. Just the overall improving talent management. And when we talk about talent management, we're talking about recruiting, onboarding, performance management, succession planning, compensation planning. All of these pieces come together. Again, a really, really popular topic these days.
So what role do you play?
I play the business role. I've managed this product since I joined the company 8 years ago. And I stay on the business side and try as much as I can to stay on the business side and let our great technical people do their work. But overall, it's my role is about guiding the business and guiding the product development from a business perspective to ensure that that the functionality we're delivering meets and exceeds I think what the market's asking for and what our customers are asking for, and at the same time trying to build up a reputation in the marketplace to be a solid vendor with good functionality and a great value proposition.
I see. Well, I see in your bio that you're a certified management accountant, CMA. And so what does that mean, and how does that relate to what you're doing now?
Well, that's an interesting question, and it's one I use quite a bit when I do talks. It doesn't really fit. So what's interesting is here's a finance guy managing an HR product, and for a lot of people that might be a bit of a gap. But at the end of the day, performance management, when we talk about employee performance management or talent management, it's all about measurement, and it's measuring in that case employee performance. So, are the employees meeting their objectives? Are they meeting the requirements of the position? Are they exceeding them? It's funny how my finance background plays really well into that because, for instance, when our implementers go into a new client to implement the solution, where we start is from output. And, being a finance guy, it's all about output and measurement and reporting. So there's actually a unique fit there. And I think it's helped me a lot. I think one of our competitive differentiators out in the marketplace is actually our reporting capability within our software. And some of that actually comes from the finance background.
Very interesting. Someone once said, I don't know who, but someone once said that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
And that's the whole key. I think what we see out there a lot, and we just came back from the SHRM show, it was in Vegas this past year. And, at the SHRM show, the national show that's done at the end of June, and I think this was year 62 or 63, we see and meet, shake hands with 1,000 or so, maybe 2,000 people. And we talk to these their HR practitioners, and we talk to them about their performance management and talent management process. And it seems to me a lot of people still come up to the booth because they want to automate something. They want to automate the process. And so they jump into the conversation, and they jump right into the bells and whistles. And One of my favorite things to do is to step back to the point you just made and say, why do you guys actually want to do this? What are we trying to get out of this? What are we trying to measure here? What is it that we're trying to get from this for the organization and for yourselves? And usually there's a quick double take because as a vendor, that's a strange question to ask somebody who's showing interest in your product. But what we try to lead with that, that this truly isn't just about automating something, and that we always need to think about the output. That there's a greater goal here, and measuring for the sake of measuring is one thing, but the reason we measure things, Ed, as you know, is to take action. It's to understand and be able to take action.
So what you're doing is basically providing a customer service product as opposed to being dictatorial. You're responding to what a customer needs. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when we get into the implementations, it's interesting because out there in the best practice literature, the great customers we have and the prospects that we speak to all know about competency-based assessment, for instance, and the importance of competencies in the assessment process. So, competencies are skills, behaviors, attributes that need to be demonstrated in a position to show that you're meeting the requirements or you're exceeding the requirements. A big buzzword out there is goal management and managing goals and alignment of individual goals to the organization or strategic alignment to strategic goals. But having said that, there's that similarity out there. What we notice at each of the client sites is that they practice performance management in a slightly different way. So they have their own nuances, their own content, and most of the time what's interesting is when we go in, 80% of the time, the HR practitioner in charge of the process already knows exactly what they want. And so what we're doing is kind of taking their vision and putting it into a robust browser-based platform that encourages collaboration and encourages engagement in the process from the employees and managers.
So who are your customers?
Some of the customers that we can mention here, we have, they're across the board in industries and verticals. For instance, just down the road from you, in Escondido, we have Palomar Pomeretto Healthcare, which is California's largest public health system. MRIS, the largest U.S. real estate listing manager. Disabled American Veterans is one of the nonprofits that use emPerform. We have a lot of nonprofit organizations out there. There's a company out here in Montreal, Canada, Forensic Technology, that does ballistic technology, and they have offices all over the globe. So those are, that's a cross-section or some examples of customers that I can share with you, Ed.
And what are some of the trends you are noticing in the talent management space?
We are seeing some trends change. Specifically, I'd say since I came in 8 years ago, I would say early days we saw a big interest in automation. And it was all about automating this paper-based process, this headache-driven, non-standard, non-integrated process that was typically being managed through Word forms and Excel. And so the vendors in the space, and remember, this is a fairly new space, Ed. We're talking, maybe 10 years at the most, right? Because this came along with web technology. But over time, we're kind of getting away from that automation. I think what we're starting to see now is a bit of a richer experience. There's a realization that talent management, for instance, is bigger than just performance appraisal. So it's the integration of the different elements. It's about taking, for instance, performance data and using it for decision making. So, we see interest in succession planning. We see interest in pay for performance. Actually tying performance scores to merit increases and compensation decisions. And so it's just becoming more robust. I think more and more we're seeing things. We're seeing interest in things like 9-box again. We're seeing 360 multi-rater review interest. So, I would say overall just a richer experience around talent management is one of the biggest trends I'm seeing.
Well, let's back up a little bit. What is 9-box?
Yeah, so 9-box is a good one, and it's one of my favorite ones because I think it's probably the simplest and most active way to demonstrate performance at the end of a process. So what a 9-box is, picture two axes here. And one has a performance score on it, and one has a potential score on it. And so in that grid, there's 9 boxes. And when you collect a performance score and a potential score for employees, what happens is they can get plotted in this 9 box. So a high performer, high potential person up in that top right quadrant would be somebody who you'd be looking at as a successor in the organization, somebody who, they may become they may be put into a leadership talent pool. By the same token, we generally have lots of people in the middle, which is good. And if we have people in the lower left quadrant, those are folks in the organization that clearly need some development, some quick development if they're low performers. But what's great about the 9-box, Ed, is it's easy for everyone to understand. And I think that's one of the biggest things with us. I mean, we kind of differentiate ourselves out there in the marketplace because all of our functionality is included in one suite. And the 9-box is included there. And the 9-box is a really important piece. When a prospect approaches me and says, I need to get to that, I need to get that 9-box out in front of managers and executives and use it for decision-making or talent reviews, I know that they're right on the ball and that they're miles ahead of other people I talk to in terms of their thinking about the process. So 9-box is a critical core element to measurement, basically.
Well, we're talking with John Smith, Director of Enterprise Business Solutions at CRG emPerform. Mr. Smith is a certified management accountant, a CMA. In addition to his financial roles, he has always had a passion for business reporting and analytics. John has extensive experience working with information technology and Microsoft applications. He has led many software implementation projects, including finance, reporting, and analytics and talent management software. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with John Smith.